Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to our Golden Win Geekout. I'm your host, Danny. Got my JoJo drug dealer, Ryan, with me.
God damn it. Yeah, it's a good shit for you. It's called Golden Wing, man.
Yeah, it's like, I'm never letting that go. And we are here to talk about episode 3, Meet the Gangster Behind the Wall.
Huh, wonder who this gangster they're talking to behind the wall.
So pretty much as we kind of predicted what happened last week and everything, yeah, this was pretty much getting Popo in here, and it actually ends leading up pretty much right at the beginning of the Black Sabbath fight, which we still have no idea what this stand's dub name is going to be called and everything. So for all you people that are just watching this and are not watching the anime, this stand at the very end of the episode, its original name is Black Sabbath. But we don't know what it's going to be called now. I'm betting Dark Sabbath. Ryan is betting on Black Shadow. So we're thinking one of those names is going to end up getting a synonym.
Yeah,
At least I hope that's the case, and they're not going to give it like a dumb name like what they did to Naranja and Bruno.
yeah, because it's like if they do like a Dark Sabbath, then hey, I'm not gonna complain or anything. I'm just like, oh shit, they actually got away with that. Okay, that's fucking awesome. But if they go so far as to do something like say Black Shadow or something, taking a name that's like it's really really safe to avoid like any form of copyright whatsoever, then yeah, that is why I'm putting my bet on this upcoming stand for the next episode to be Black Shadow than anything else. Because it's like, hey, the word black was in his original name, and his quirk. Okay, all right, spoilers ahead for those who don't even know what this stand is about.
Yeah, timestamp here.
Okay. Yeah, basically Black Sabbath's quirk is the fact that, he relies on shadows to do a lot of his attacks and all that stuff. So because of that, that's why I'm thinking instead of calling it Black Sabbath, it would be Black Shadow or something like that. But that's what we're gonna find out for next episode. That's what we're thinking.
And it's probably gonna be like, how like when you got into like the halfway marks when they do go on when Japan goes on their commercial breaks, when they come back is when they show like the stand stats and everything. That's probably when we're gonna get the name drop. Because I don't think Black Sabbath was actually name dropped in the actual manga and everything, because I mean it's not like he introduces himself going, I am Black Sabbath or anything. It's like, no, that didn't happen in the manga.
Yeah, you know what? That's actually I'm sorry. That's actually a really good point that you bring up, because it's like, if memory serves, is like, that's I think you're right. I don't think he actually flat out does like bring up like his full name. It's like, I Giorno am Black Sabbath, but it's like, oh no, they brought up like the name and all that stuff, like when they were like talking about the stats of the stand.
Yeah, because in the manga they give the stand stats too, and like throughout the manga and everything. Like, sometimes like like usually when a new stand is introduced, like probably within like the next couple of chapters, Araki will actually give out the stand stats, and that's actually how we learned its name was Black Sabbath. So that's that's when we're gonna learn what's its dub name gonna be. Is next week, because I guarantee you that's when you'll actually see it, because we got Echoes Act 3 this time around.
No, you know what? Yeah, that is true. Yeah, they did show off a little bit of Echoes 3, which I mean it's like, okay, I will say this is like, I know technically Koichi did make an appearance in this episode, but seeing as how this is the last time we're gonna be seeing Koichi, or hell, even like anything revolving like Echoes 3 or whatever, it's like, yeah, I'm pretty certain that's gonna be like the only time we're ever gonna see that. Unless if they end up doing something along those same lines in the next episode.
Alrighty. But okay, but yeah, we'll talk a little bit more about Black Sabbath later on. Let's first actually talk about, the first half of this episode, which is, bringing in Popo. So, pretty much like this actually is, this episode really just was beat for beat, from the manga. There was really nothing really added or anything. Like, no other extra scenes, no extra dialogue or anything. I mean, It's pretty much what happened here was what happened in the manga.
Well, it's like, ah, man, I don't know. It's like, okay, I don't know if I'm thinking too far ahead or if they actually did cut out like a lot of stuff, like from like from the initial just conversation that a Polpo and Giorno had upon their first meeting, like compared to like the original manga to the anime adaptation, because at first watch, it's like, okay, for me it felt like they cut a lot out of like their initial conversation, like, try introducing themselves and all of that such. But again, that could be just me like going a bit far ahead, and I don't know, I could be jumping the gun a little bit, but
Yeah, I think you kind of are jumping the gun because, I mean, I can tell you, yeah, nothing has been cut out or anything. I mean, it is the same dialogue and everything. It's just, you got to bear in mind, in the manga, when Giorno first meets Polpo, that was like 2 chapters, before, of just him going into the prison cell, actually meeting him, talking to him and everything. So, like, pretty much like the first, like, half of this episode was 2 chapters. And because those 2 chapters are dialogue, naturally you're going to be going through dialogue sections fairly quickly. Like, I'm finding that's the thing, like, even when I'm working on this manga project where, we're, any chapters that were really heavy on dialogue, those are so easy for me to edit through. But it's the ones that actually involve the battles that take a long time for me to, like, properly edit, get the right sounds, find the right music, all that other stuff. So, sure,
right.
I mean, and mind you, I'm just scrolling through manga pages and everything, because we're, for this thing, it's you reading the manga for the first time, and yeah, dialogue heavy chapters, I get through those very quickly. Battle heavy chapters, that's what takes me a long time to edit. And I can only imagine, I mean, naturally, that's how it's going to be animation wise. So it's like, yeah, I'm not surprised at all that they managed to go through, Giorno meeting Polpo so quickly because it's just dialogue.
Right.
But it's like, but yeah, like, for the most part, yeah, it's, beat for beat, nothing's really changed or whatever. And then we move like into the second half of the episode, which is when Giorno got the lighter, and that, that whole bit where, he's trying to protect the lighter. Now, the only thing, actually, I take that back. There is one minor thing that I noticed. So in the manga, when you have, like, Giorno, he's walking trying to get to his dorm, and he passes people that are asking him for help. In the manga, like, when you have, like, the kids that are, like, they're doing, like, the human pyramid or something, they're like, hey, can you take a quick picture for us? Giorno, he goes and says no, but, in the manga, he says, I'm sorry, I'm busy, can I do it later? And they just look at him like, what the fuck? And then when you have the janitor saying, hey, can you help me? I have all this stuff and it's about to fall. And Giorno walks past and says, sorry, can I do it tomorrow? That's what he was saying in the manga. In the anime, all he was saying was just no. Like, he just walks past and goes, no. Like, can you help me? No. Like, he gave no other, like, no weird little explanation or anything. So it's like, the only reason I remembered that is because, yeah, in the manga, some of those things were just so goddamn funny. Like, yeah, this poor old man who's like, juggling, all the cleaning supplies, and is saying, hey, can you just hold on to some things for me while I, get some things cleaned out? And Giorno's response is, can I do it tomorrow? That's just so fucking funny. But yeah, nope, not in the anime. All he says is no. So that is something different I did notice.
Yeah, the anime adaptation in the anime adaptation, they decided to make sure to come off a little bit more like a dick.
Yeah, it's a very minor difference, but it's like, at the same time, it's like, Giorno is taking this very seriously because this is his one chance of getting into Passione. It's like, hey, we actually got that name drop. So, okay, so this is the one chance that he has of getting into Passione. So he's taking this very super seriously. He's super hyper focused on, like, trying to protect this goddamn flame and everything. So, if they want to shorten it up, like, not have him, like, give an explanation because he's so focused, I can understand that direction. I just thought it was just so funny how it was handled in the manga, but I can understand the direction of wanting to change that for the anime adaptation.
Right.
Yep, and then we see Koichi again.
Unfortunately, if memory serves, for the last time.
Actually, no. Next episode will be the last time that we see Koichi, because because remember, it's Giorno and Koichi versus Black Sabbath.
Oh, god damn it, that's right. Yeah, okay.
Well, we still have the Black Sabbath fight to go through, which, okay, now we can actually talk about the Black Sabbath part, because this was actually really cool. Like, yeah, it's going to be a while before I get to uploading these manga parts and everything from this project that we're working on, so I'll say it again here. You know, Black Sabbath is like one of my favorite designs for a stand. Not so much an ability, but for how a stand looks. I absolutely adore how Black Sabbath looks. You want to talk about something that's like really creepy and intimidating, but it does, reek of the whole Italian flair? I mean, Black Sabbath had it down. So I was real curious seeing, okay, how is Black Sabbath going to translate in the anime? And oh man, did they not disappoint.
Yeah. Especially in the anime adaptation, Black Sabbath did look really, really sick.
Yeah, like, you see the whole bit where, the lighter gets relit. Giorno's wondering, what the hell, there's no way, that it can just be that simple, because if that was the case, then what's the whole point of the test? And, he just turns back, and boom, Black Sabbath is right there with the old man's soul in him. And it was like, damn, that was kind of creepy. And, you do the whole bit with the arrow going into the guy's head, killing him. And, so then he goes and, focuses on Giorno. Now, I gotta double check if this was the case in the manga, because I actually don't remember this tidbit being in the manga. But I will double check that. And if it is indeed the case, I'll, correct myself here. But in the anime, what I thought was a nice touch was, after Black Sabbath kills the old man, you just see he's just standing there just kind of chilling, and he does not turn his attention to Giorno until Giorno steps backward, and you see he steps into the shadow behind him, and that's what catches Black Sabbath's attention. I don't remember if that was the case in the manga, where Giorno stepped back into a shadow and that was what caught his attention, or did Black Sabbath just go, he just looked and went, oh, hey, there's another guy here. Okay, I'm going to go to you now. I got to double check that.
Yeah, unfortunately, it's like, seeing as how it has technically been, like, quite some while since we initially read through that initial part of the original manga. It's really hard to say from my perspective.
Yeah, actually, you know what? I'm gonna double check that right now. But I guess as far as Ryan, what did you think as far as while I'm looking this up, what did you think of voice performances for Black Sabbath and Pulpo?
You know what? Okay. I am so glad you brought that up. I completely forgot about that. Well, it's like we initially, you referenced this, in the last Geekout episode in regards to, voice performances, supposedly with Pulpo, and how I initially tried to give him, some really deeper, voice or whatnot, and you provide, some echoey effect to it. Surprisingly enough, I didn't think it was gonna happen, but if you were to listen to Pulpo, in this episode, it was practically, nearly identical to the direction that it was nearly identical to how we directed, a Pulpo's voice, in the initial, manga dub that we did.
Yeah, because our interpretation, I gave Pulpo a big booming voice because he's a big guy in a tiny room. His voice is just naturally going to echo. But in the anime adaptation, they did warp his voice. Not so much of an echo, but there is a kind of a warping effect going on. So it does... So instead of him being a big imposing figure, it kind of made it look like, okay, this is somebody that's like, a little bit more like demonic, which, okay, makes sense given the fact that, he shapeshifted from a bed into a body and everything. And yeah, that happened in the manga too. No explanation as to why this is the case. That's actually something I was hoping the anime would give, like, a brief little explanation as to, like, okay, why the hell can Pulpo just shapeshift his body from, like, a bed into just his natural body? Because that was never explained in the manga. And it doesn't look like we're getting an explanation here. So it's just something he can do.
He just can.
Okay. And, okay, and yeah, and I just double-checked with the manga and everything. So, no. What happened in the manga? Like, yeah, after Black Sabbath kills the old man, he just turns to Giorno. There is no instance of Giorno stepping back into a shadow, and that was what caught Black Sabbath's attention. So that's
so that was technically like an added attention to detail in just the anime adaptation alone.
Yes, this is an attention to the anime. And it fits perfectly because, yeah, like as you said, Ryan, the whole bit with Black Sabbath, he only attacks through shadows. So it makes sense that if somebody else was to step into a shadow, that's what's going to grab your attention. Also, I might as well note this. So in the colored manga scans, which is what everybody who's read this thing, if not everybody, most people who have read Part 5, they've read the colored manga scans provided by JoJo's Colored Adventure Team. Now, this led to a meme that you might have heard about Super Mario, because they decided to give the color scheme that they gave the janitor was, red shirt, red hat, blue overalls, which just led to everybody going, oh my god, Black Sabbath killed Super Mario. Did you notice that, like, in the anime adaptation, his color scheme went from red and blue to white and green? So it's like, oh my god, now he killed Luigi!
It's like, oh god damn it! First the Castlevania Simon Belmont Smash trailer reveal, and now this encounter with Black Sabbath. It's like, this is not a good year for Luigi. I'm just saying, they're just killing him left and right.
That had to have been deliberate. Like, you cannot convince me otherwise. You cannot tell me that David Production, by coincidence, decided, yeah, let's give him a white and green color scheme, and not have nobody bat an eyelid for it. No, you cannot convince. You will never convince me. This was fucking deliberate.
I refuse to believe otherwise.
Yeah, so it's like, it's like, okay, if we can't follow the color scans, it's like, you know what? We love the Mario meme, so you know what? Let's just have it be Luigi this time around that takes the hit.
It's like we've already witnessed like Luigi going through like all sorts of hell like during these Smash reveals. Let's just add salt to the wound pretty much for the character.
Oh yes, but anyway, I guess as far as a voice for Black Sabbath, it just looks like he just got like a regular normal voice, which again kind of contrasts to how we had interpreted Black Sabbath. I'll throw a little clip up here for Black Sabbath's introduction, and, I'll show you guys, this was how we initially interpreted Black Sabbath.
These are your chances. There are two paths that you can follow. The first path is for the chosen ones to live. And the other, the path of death. You have reignited the flame. You will accept this challenge.
We did like, here was when I was playing around with the voice effects. I was purposefully trying to make Black Sabbath sound a lot more demonic, but I guess, nope, they didn't do anything like that for the anime adaptation. He just got a regular voice. Didn't even get like an echo or a weird distortion or anything like what they did with Pulpo. They didn't do that with Black Sabbath. So I was like, oh, okay.
Yeah, it's like, honestly, I mean, it's like, yeah, his voice is like, I think the voice performance is like relatively similar to how it was with Pulpo. How, like, distortion wise, it's like, okay, my mind is kind of eluding me with his like voice effects at this point, but I would like to say they kind of give either it was like pretty much identical to Pulpo's voice or like a additional voice effects as it were, or yeah, if they just like it was initially like a Pulpo's voice just without the effects. Like I would have to re-listen to that voice again just so I could get a good feel on his voice. But I feel like it's like, if anything, it's essentially nearly identical to Pulpo's like initial like a kind of voice they provided for that character.
I'm pretty certain that they didn't do anything with Black Sabbath's voice, but I'll be watching this thing 5 fucking times, like what I did with the previous episodes. It's like
yeah, same here.
Just keep watching. It's like, again, this just shows just how fucking obsessed I am with Vento Oreo. But I mean, it was like, all throughout the week waiting for the next episode, I was rewatching episodes like every other day. Because I was just like, God damn it.
Yeah.
I want the next episode. I want the next episode. It's like, okay, I'll keep watching Bruno strip for me, but I still want the next episode.
Yeah, again, it's literally how it's been with me. It's just like, all right, look, I want to make sure that I got all the events of the last episode, like, burned into my brain, so that way I will be, like, 100% ready to take in what the anime adaptation has to show for me when it comes to episode 3 of Vento Oreo. It's like, oh, goddamn it, I want to see what's going on next.
Right. So that being said, the next episode is called Joining the Gang. So it looks like, I had initially predicted that the Black Sabbath fight will take up all of next week. I was predicting that episode 5 will be when we bring in the rest of the crew. That may not be the case because, where we are manga chapter-wise to anime, we are almost done with volume 2. Where the anime left off, there's like a couple of chapters for volume 2, which is the majority of the Black Sabbath fight. When you get to volume 3, I believe it's the first chapter that just finishes the Black Sabbath fight. We get the ending of we get Giorno, joining the gang. We get Pulpo's suicide. We get all of that. I think that's like the first chapter of volume 3, and the next chapter immediately afterward is bringing in the rest of the crew. So, assuming that assuming that the Black Sabbath fight does not take up the whole part of next week, like let's just say it takes up half of the episode, it looks like we'll be getting our boys next week. We'll finally be meeting Narancia, Mista, Abbacchio, and Fugo. They're all coming in next week. Because really, I think, at this point, this is just what everybody's waiting for. It's like, we're just like, okay, come on, we'll go through the Black Sabbath fight. Okay, just get the rest of our boys in here already.
Bring in the Italian Aussie boys and all that good stuff.
I know, it's like, we got 2 of the saucy Italian boys, but we need the rest, so come on.
Yeah. Yeah, that's initially what I was like predicting. Like I think it was last week, like our last episode Geekout or whatnot.
Yeah,
I think it was like, okay, so we have the introduction of Pulpo and the whole test with keeping that the flame on the lighter, like intact and not keep it out. And we got the initial introduction of Black Sabbath, and now it's like, okay. Like I said, I'm still thinking, like, the entirety of next episode will be dedicated to nothing but the Black Sabbath fight. And then episode 5, that's where we're gonna see the rest of the gang, with Narancia, Fugo, Mista, Abbacchio, and all that good stuff.
Yeah, so I was calling episode 5, you were calling episode 4. It looks like you may be right on this one, Ryan.
Right, but I mean, it's like that's what I'm sitting on. But it's like, I don't know. It's like considering how stand battles have been like in the past, I don't know. Something tells me. I mean, I could be dead wrong here. I'm just, again, this is just mere speculation, but I don't know. Something tells me they may pull a fast one and try to figure out a way to extend the Black Sabbath fight for like at least 2 episodes. Because it's like, I mean, it could be stretching it, but I could be dead wrong.
I'm thinking that's not going to be the case just because the episode title alone. Like if this was going to be like an extension, like if this was going to be, solely Black Sabbath and everything, then it's like I would think they would make like, a clear indication of that and everything. So it's like, because usually the chapters that like the fights and the chapters that involve the fights, they usually like involve like the stand name and everything. So that's where it's like, I think that's like when we get to like because after Black Sabbath, the next fight is Soft Machine. So it's like, when we get to like Soft Machine and Kraftwerk, that's usually like the episode titles will make a very clear indication of that. So it's like, I'm thinking like, because it's called Joining the Gang and everything, that's like, it's like, I think it's pretty safe to assume that like, yeah, the first half of this fight, if, the first half of the episode will be Black Sabbath, they'll probably go through a lot of it. Because if you remember, Ryan, when it came to the Black Sabbath fight, it is a very short fight compared to what we get later on. So this is where it's like, I'm thinking once we get into Soft Machine and Kraftwerk, that's when I think we're going to start seeing like, stand battles taking multiple episodes, because that's when the fights really start getting long. Like pretty much like Soft Machine, Kraftwerk, and once we get into La Squadra for that matter, that's when those fights take like anywhere between like 7 to 10 chapters to actually, illustrate the entire fight. And I would assume that's going to take at least 2 episodes. So that's where, people like, if you're thinking, wow, they're really breezing through this, it's like, you kind of have to remember these beginning chapters, like, or at least like the first fight scenes and shit, they are relatively short fights. The longer ones, those are coming.
It's like earlier, it's like you brought up, the name of the next chapter alone, like joining the gang, and I'm just thinking, wow, you know what? That's actually a really good point when you bring that up. It's like, if they were seriously going to use the exact same title for the next episode, compared to the initial anime chapter or whatever, then it's like, yeah, you know what, you yes, you may raise a good point that the entirety of the next episode, as I initially predicted, will be dedicated to only just like the everything Black Sabbath and the definitive last appearance of Koichi. So if anything, it's like,
yeah, okay, yeah, I double checked that. So in a way, yeah, I screwed this up. So the Black Sabbath fight, those sets of chapters, like, I could have sworn I just thought that, this was, it was called, Giorno's Trial, or Black Sabbath, or something like that. But nope, all the chapters that are the Black Sabbath fight, they're called Entering the Gang. So it's essentially, yeah, that entering, joining, that is the name of these chapters of the Black Sabbath fight.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
All right.
And the Black Sabbath fight, was 6 chapters.
Oh, okay. So I guess it hold on. So I guess it is safe to assume that'll probably last for like at least the entirety of episode 4, or are you now thinking it'll extend to like at least 2 episodes?
Well, this episode, where it ended where, it ended with Black Sabbath appearing, The old man dies, and then he turns his attention to Giorno. That was chapter 2. So that was part 2 of entering the gang. There's 4 parts left of this fight.
Oh, okay. So it might be a bit longer than an episode.
No, I'm thinking it's going to take up like half of the episode, if not 2/3 of it, because it's like with what's left, it's very, very short. Because remember, yeah, Black Sabbath is a very short fight. Like, Giorno has his initial scuffle. Koichi's going to come in and be like, Giorno, what the fuck's going on? That, the two of them very quickly figure out, okay, we have to take, we got to go into the light and everything. We have to avoid the shadows, and we'll figure out a way of beating Black Sabbath from there. And then there's like literally like one last stand with that fight, because they were trying to get to like the other side of the school building, if you remember, and Black Sabbath manages to like cut them off because he traveled through the shadow of a bird.
Right.
And that was when Koichi uses Echo's Act 3 to try to like weigh it down, and it caused the crack in the floor. So Giorno uses Gold Experience to hit the roots of the tree to knock out the sun that takes out Black Sabbath. Like, I remember that. I remember that fight very well. So that's where it's like, it's a very short fight. So that's where I'm thinking, if it's not, if it's, it should at least take the first half of next week's episode. If it takes longer than that, then I would imagine it's going to, like, yeah, it's probably going to take up 2/3 of it. And, the episode next week will probably end where, Bruno brings Giorno in to meet everybody. And, this is where we get the initial scene. So we see, Fugo is tutoring Narancia in math. Mista's freaking out about there being 4 pieces of shortcake. And Abbacchio pisses in a teacup to give it to Giorno. We're going to have, that's probably how they're going to end next week's episode.
Yeah, it's like, or it'll begin like episode 5, because I don't know. Honestly, something tells me it's like, okay, the majority of the episode is going to be the Black Sabbath fight, but they'll end it off with Giorno pretty much ending Pulpo, like, on the spot. And then after that, they'll save the introductions and such for episode 5.
So you're betting gang coming in at the beginning of episode 5. I'm betting that they're going to be coming in the end of episode 4.
Yeah, so it's like after your confirmation of like how long like the fight with Black Sabbath was, like initial manga or whatever. Yeah, I'm still gonna stand by to what I predicted like during the last Geekout, and it's like, okay, Black Sabbath fight for episode 4 on top of Giorno ending off Pulpo, and then after that, episode 5, introduction to the gang.
Alrighty, so we'll definitely see, when are the boys coming in? Because it's like, goddamn, I mean, it's like, yeah, at this point, it's just like, goddamn, just bring them in already. I want the whole gang now.
Yeah, it's like we've seen the teasers, we've waited long enough. It's like, okay, come on, bring in the rest of the gang in.
Yes, everybody's gonna have their own individual fight to really show off their stands and everything, and those will be trickling in for for many weeks to come. But at this point, I'm just like, come on, just bring them in, come on. I just want to see the introduction scene, because it's like that's. That scene of, like, the way they introduced when they brought everybody in was such a fun scene. It was like, okay, you see Fugo tutoring Narancia, so that just shows, like, how smart Fugo is. You see that Narancia didn't have much learning. You got the whole Mystisphere with the number 4. And then Abbacchio, who's, like, relatively quiet and not bothering anybody. But then as soon as Giorno comes in, that's when he decides to fuck with them. So that's where it's like, it's such a great introduction for the whole team. Because, because up until this point, like, everybody else, like, if you remember in, like, all the other parts, like, all, like, your allies, they slowly come in one by one. But here in Vento Arreo, it's like, yeah, we practically get them all at once. So it's like, okay, you're bringing everybody in at once. You better make one hell of a good impression. And god damn it, they did in the manga, and I really want to see that happen in the anime.
Yeah, really. That makes two of us.
Yeah, so that's where it's like, I'm hoping it'll be next week, but you're thinking it's going to be 2 weeks from now.
Yeah. When we really get the juiciness from the, saucy Italian boys.
I know, that's where it's like, I'm sorry, I am so impatient.
God damn it.
Alrighty. I'm trying to think, is there really anything else that we can talk about at this point regarding regarding this episode? Because it's kind of sad how we've been doing a lot of predicting for next week and not much about this week.
Well, I mean, it's like, cause
Yeah, it's like, again, it was like what we said. It was mostly dialogue, and it's pretty much following the manga perfectly with, like, you know, one minor little addition. And that's about it. So it's like, we keep talking about what we want to see next week. So it's like, is there really anything pertaining this week? Anything else that we've missed that we can talk about?
honestly, I mean, in regards to like what's been going on for this episode, I think we pretty much covered all that we needed to. I mean, considering that the majority of this episode was mostly consisted of like conversations and all that stuff, that it's like, yeah, I think we pretty much covered all that we needed to cover, really.
Alrighty then. So I guess with that said, join us next week, everybody, as we talk about episode 4.
Alright, which will more than likely be the entirety of the Black Sabbath fight. Fingers crossed. Anyway, we'll see you guys next week for our next Vento Arreo Geekout, or Golden Wind Geekout, whatever you want to call it. We'll see you guys then for more JoJo goodness.